When Mazda and Toyota say that they're working on the next generation Miata and GR86, you know that something big is brewing. In today's market, you have to team up together to even think about making a successful sports car in today's market. But for me, I am really excited if this actually happens. Hello and welcome everybody to the Curbside Corner, where I obsess about cars so you don't have to. And today we're talking about an extremely interesting article in that Toyota and Mazda are thinking about linking up to create the next generation Miata and GR86. But before we get started in this video, if you could please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It would mean the absolute world to me. Also, we opened up an online store, so if you would like to support the channel, please click the link in the description down below. Now, let's get started into this video. A little bit of backstory into this video and into this article as well is that this story actually originated from the Japanese magazine company called Best Car, and it's actually being picked up by a whole bunch of US news media outlets. So right now it's being circulated by Forbes. After doing research for this article, something that I found extremely interesting is that just like this article, it's a lot of speculation, but there's a lot of moving parts happening right now. Toyota has sent some engineers to the Mazda factory and vice versa to even see if it's even possible to make the Mazda Miata and the GR86 work together to make some awesome new future generation of these cars. But if this turns out to be any realm of possibility being true, I'm for one am extremely excited seeing the Mazda Miata and also the Toyota GR86 being fused together, or some sort of future generation of these two cars working together. As someone who's seen how well Subaru and Toyota have worked together to create the GR86 and the BRZ for Subaru, it's just blowing up everything in my brain that I can really think about the possibility of Toyota working together with Mazda to create an awesome two-door car. If this article has any truth to it and we do see a GR86 and a Mazda Miata being fused together, I know that it's going to be fantastic, because these two car brands, they know how to make affordable-ish sports cars for the entry-level market. Also, a fun fact, which could also lead to a little bit more speculation, is that Toyota and Mazda have worked together, and they're actually working together right now. Maybe not in the sports car market, but they are working in the SUV market, especially with the new CX-50 from Mazda that just came out for the 2023 model year. But for the 2025 model year, they just put a Toyota RAV4 hybrid system in that car, and it's making massive waves because now you can actually get a really awesome SUV that feels somewhat luxurious, but also have a Toyota RAV4 engine inside of it, especially the hybrid motor. That is fantastic. And moving into the meat and potatoes of this article, something I found very interesting. There are 2 points that I really want to talk about from this article that I read that I think is really interesting, especially if these two car brands work together. And based on what I was reading, the first thing that I want to talk about was what type of body frame would they use? Would they use the GR86 or would they use the Mazda Miata body frame to start with this creation that they're working together? And it's actually awesome to see is that when Toyota was doing their research, they've actually found that the Mazda Miata ND generation, and specifically the 990S body frame, is actually the best fit for what they're working together, because they were actually extremely surprised with how exceptionally light the frame is and also how well the car handles as well. And as anyone knows that owns a Miata, you know that these cars handle extremely well. So it's awesome to think that Toyota has already started thinking about what type of body frame that they want to use for this car between Mazda and Toyota. And moving into the second point that I found really interesting when I was going through this article is what type of engines will Toyota and Mazda use. And of course, they're going to use different engines, which is kind of weird because the GR86 and the BRZ use the same engine, but it's awesome to think that there's going to be two different options that you could purchase. So for Toyota, they're actually going to be considering using a 2.0 liter hybrid engine. So yes, which is crazy to think that they might be getting rid of the naturally aspirated engine that is so beloved by everyone, and they're going to be moving into a hybrid engine instead, which is crazy crazy to think that they would even consider that, especially when the market truly wants a manual and they want a naturally aspirated engine. It's crazy to think that Toyota might be going down the steps of just putting a hybrid engine. So that means if that does end up being the case, then this new permutation car from Toyota and Mazda will go up directly against the Honda Prelude. And as always, I've actually talked about the Honda Prelude. I'll share the link up there if you want to check out the full video. I have some mixed thoughts about it, and when I made my video, it was actually before the car was released. But now that it's been released and we're honestly even seeing what the prices are of the Honda Prelude, this car has a lot of runway. If they can keep this car under $40,000 or around $40,000, because so far right now the Honda Prelude is going to be over $40,000. So if this GR86 Mazda Miata hybrid from Toyota is going to match anything to the Prelude, they actually have a lot of runway between what the current GR86 costs and then what the Honda Prelude is going to cost in the future. And moving to Mazda, and the Mazda engine that they're going to use based on this article is that they're talking about the 2.0 liter naturally aspirated engine, which comes right now in the ND Miata. Of course, they might be fixing it up, changing it around a little bit, but I think it's much better that Mazda is going to keep with what they've always talked about and what they truly try to keep in their business model: a naturally aspirated manual and of course an automatic as well, two-door car with rear-wheel drive. So I think that's really interesting that Mazda and Toyota are actually going their own separate ways based on their engine preferences. And yes, this could definitely change as they work together and move forward, but I think this is going to be a little bit different than how the GR86 and the BRZ work together, because with those two cars, they're basically the same car, except for one car looks a little bit different than the other, but pretty much they're just the same exact cars with different badging. But it'll be interesting to see how Toyota works on this by actually putting a hybrid engine in theirs, and then Mazda sticks with the naturally aspirated 2-liter engine, which I think that's going to be the preferred model, especially because it's going to keep the price down of the car. But I would love to pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts about this? Do you think that it's a good move that Toyota could potentially go for a hybrid engine and Mazda is keeping up with a naturally aspirated internal combustion engine? Would love to know your thoughts down below. Moving into our final topic of this video is something that I find very interesting, and that is it going to work, and does it make sense for Mazda and Toyota to team up to make the next generation Miata and the next generation GR86? And for myself, and especially in 2025, it makes total sense. Sports cars make a very small amount of sales for car companies, but the research and development it takes to make one of these cars is extremely high. So sometimes you have to work with what you got, and if it wasn't for the fact that Subaru and Toyota worked together to make the BRZ and the GR86, that car would not exist and it would not be as fantastic of the car as it is. But because Mazda and Toyota could work together using the Mazda and the GR86 as base points to make the future generation, it just makes total sense, especially in 2025 when sports cars honestly just do not sell anymore, especially with the takeover of SUVs and crossovers. Those cars are all over the road, especially as someone who drives a sedan. It's honestly gets a little bit difficult to see over cars, especially with cars just getting bigger and bigger every single year. And of course, the price just goes bigger and bigger every single year. But I would love to pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts about how Toyota and Subaru worked together to make the GR86? Do you think that it was successful, or do you think it was a massive failure? Honestly, I think it was fantastic. Would love to hear your thoughts down below. And in summary, honestly, this article is a lot of speculation. As someone who reads a lot of car speculation articles, some things are true, some things aren't, but 90% of the time it's a little bit true. So it would be awesome to see if this actually does end up working together. I'm for one would be excited to see how Mazda and Toyota could work together, fusing the Mazda Miata and the GR86 to make something that the fans will truly love and the buyers would truly love as well, because in 2025 we need less SUVs, less crossovers, we need more sports cars. But the only way for that to happen is for people to purchase these cars. And at the end of the day, a lot of people would rather just have a SUV that's fully loaded with all the bells and whistles instead of a sports car, and that's why a lot of car manufacturers are heading that way. But I would love to pass a question off to you. What are your thoughts about this article? What are your thoughts about the backstory of that? Maybe Toyota and Mazda are working together to make the next fun two-seater sports car? Would love to hear your thoughts down below. But as always, my name is Eric. Thank you so much for pulling up to the curb, and let's keep talking cars.